So basically, we're going to be covering 3 topics today. The first would be around our finances. The second will be an update about Perfect Home. The third one will be an update about our collective proposal, the work that we've been doing with Unity of Oak Park. So those are the 3 topics we're going to spend on. Roughly, in terms of time frame, we're thinking 10 or 15 minutes for each of those topics. So that's kind of what's ahead. I'm going to pray us in, and then June Lash, our board president, will take over facilitation. So let's just take a moment. And we've just come out of this glorious service with so much wonderful energy, and we're grateful to BA and Reverend Christina, and especially the tech team that kept it all together for us. And just know that that same strength that we discussed, that we were getting in touch with through our meditations, that's available to us now. So that whatever's happening in our experience as a community, we know that there is possibility, there is even the assurance that blessings are unfolding. And we just get to now be totally transparent about what the condition is, and that we all might also bring forth our notion and our concept and our idea of what blessings we see manifesting. So thank you, God, for imagination, for strength, for faith, for joy, for abundance, prosperity, and most of all, for this amazing community that stands together in strength. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. We had our last town hall meeting in February before all of this. We wanted to update you on hot topics that the board and the ministers are dealing with right now. First of all, with the board members, just to refresh everybody, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I am the Vice President of the board.
Keep going.
Hi, Denise Giambalvo here, Board Treasurer.
And I am Priscilla Florence. I am an at-large member assisting Denise as on her finance committee, assisting Denise and Reverend Kurt.
I'm Jan Bellotti. I'm member at large.
And this is John Linder. I'm secretary, and I'm calling in from Colorado on the mountains right now.
I think that's it. I don't think Clay's on, is he?
No.
So the only one we're missing is our youth member, who is a non-voting member, but he brings a great contribution to us, and that's Clay Linder Johnson. Okay, so the first topic is our finances and our fundraising. Denise, would you like to take it away?
Sure. Hi, everyone. How are you all doing today? Nice to see all of your faces. So through the month of June, we have an $8,500 loss. Once the payroll protection plan loan is forgiven, then we will be able to add $24,000 in income. That'll give us a net profit of $15,500. So that's really good. However, we will continue to lose money due to our loss in rental income and fundraising, since we were not able to hold Jazz in July, and we cannot have the gala in October. So we're looking at a total loss by year end of about $25,000. So we've got a few options to address the anticipated loss. We can run a fundraising campaign, or 2 or 3. We can borrow against our line of credit. We can make staff cuts, or we can make a convincing business case to Unity Oak Park to create a collaborative model where some of our knowledge and resources are shared in order to maximize our efforts to have a comprehensive marketing campaign to increase membership and attendance at our respective churches. And June will speak a bit more to this, but I believe everyone is aware that Christina has submitted and is a finalist to become minister at Oak Park. And so this collaborative would be wrapped around her becoming minister. So this is a good time to ask questions if anyone has questions regarding what I just reported out.
Yeah, Denise, this is
Seeing anything? Yes, Chet.
I know, I think a Sunday or two ago, Reverend Christina presented at Oak Park, but I understood from prior discussions that, is she going to be a full-time minister, or I thought it was like a consultant?
She would be full-time minister for Oak Park.
So was that changed from prior discussions?
I'd like to comment on that a little bit, and Christina, jump in here if I'm not getting it right. The function that Reverend Christina would be fulfilling over at Oak Park would be as sort of their lead minister. But really it's a collaboration, and like Christina and I will be the lesson programming that we develop, the Sunday experiences, that would sort of be duplicated. So they're not doing a completely separate, I don't know if I'm describing that right. We're looking at ways in which the work that we do, especially around marketing and around the Sunday experience stuff, is actually condensed, and so that both congregations are benefiting by it. So while Christina's function is sort of a full-time function over there, she'll still be working very closely with Unity on the North Shore. She'll be working with our social media stuff. She's got this great fundraising background. So it's kind of a hybrid. That's why we're calling it a collective. It's not a traditional top-down minister role that she'd be taking. It's actually a relationship that we would be undertaking with Unity of Oak Park leadership. Does that help?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kurt, for that. It helps a lot. And just a second question based on that, would, based on their decision, I'm praying that they will select Reverend Christina. She's a great light and will bring great energy to their congregation, as well as yourself. But in terms of, would that, Denise, would that offset the deficit you're talking about? Just a comment, you use the word loss.
Yeah.
You know, we're not a business, we're a church, and you know, we have love offerings and tithes, and just encourage more people to tithe. That'll help offset that deficit in these very challenging times. But would that 25,000 change based on the decision of Oak Park?
It would, Chet. We would probably end up the year flat, because Christina would go on Oak Park's payroll. So she would come off of ours and move on to Oak Park. And if they also do the collective, they will actually pay us. So we would receive additional income to support the marketing that we would be doing as a collective, because those resources would come out of our church, not theirs.
Yeah. And just a final comment.
And other technology that we can provide. Pardon?
And just a final comment to encourage everyone. You know, these are very challenging times for our ministry, yet each Sunday we get wonderful messages from Reverend Kurt, Reverend Christina, Kate Jordan, a youth minister, and the great board, all your board leadership folks that you are providing during these tough times. You know, we have these fundraisers where we go and we have a great time, but you know, these are challenging times, so we can't have those two major fundraisers. So you know, we would have spent X dollars attending those fundraisers. I would encourage everyone, you know, to in lieu of that, just make those contributions that you would have made at those fundraisers. You know, that's just I would encourage that.
May I speak?
Thank you, Chet.
Sure.
May I speak?
Yes,
Yeah,
Suzanne.
I just echo totally what Chet's saying, that instead of, you know, attending the events, we'll just contribute what we normally would do for those fundraisers, and then help the church get through this challenging year. That's my suggestion.
Any other comments?
So I'll just chime in a little bit with where we are with kind of fundraising. We haven't given up that idea. There are a couple of teams, a couple of ideas bubbling out there to be able to do much like you just described, Suzanne, only rather than just sort of waiting for people to make those gifts, we would probably create some kind of an online campaign and where we would invite people on Sundays to be able to give to this, what would I call it, a differential campaign or something. So there's that. We're also kind of seeing this movie night as maybe a dry run for how we might be able to do some concerts on the lawn at church that would actually be fundraising events. None of these are obviously going to be as successful in terms of finances as the big ones that we would do, the jazz concert or the gala, the annual gala. But there are some fundraising efforts kind of bubbling. What we really need, though, is people who are interested in helping to step up and coordinate those. So I would invite you to really, and that's not just limited to fundraising either. Is Steve still on? Steve Benz, are you still on?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Elmer Benz. Steve is getting married this Sunday. We're doing our very first virtual wedding in the sanctuary. We have a team of people that have been working really hard to get that equipment together. Thank you to everyone who helped contribute to that matching grant. We got the equipment in place. It was a little bit crazy yesterday, but I know in theater they say if the dress rehearsal is kind of a disaster, you can count on sailing through the event. So that's what we're holding. We had a lot to learn yesterday, but it's great. And we know that as we move forward, this isn't going away. This virtual experience. There are people in our community who may never return to an in-person experience, especially those who may live out of state. We're starting to develop a membership that goes far beyond our walls. So we want to be able to create a virtual experience that is sort of a hybrid with the in-person experience. We need people. We need people to help run the equipment, the cameras that we're using tomorrow or next week for the wedding. There's there's mixers, there's audio equipment. And, you know, we've been blessed to have Carl and Martin doing that work for us in terms of audio and sound and recording. That job gets bigger in a virtual environment. So we really need people who, if you don't have skill, if you have curiosity, that's all you need. We will train, we will learn together, but we need a group of people to really help with that live stream, because it also might very well be a very lucrative revenue stream for us as we create events like weddings or perhaps memorial services or house blessings or baptisms. All of that we could do as a virtual experience, as long as we have sort of the people trained and in place to be able to help with it. So please, if
and I will add that we're...
Thank you very much for all those who have supported us in our wedding.
And I will add that you can start helping now, because we can also use help with Sunday service now. So you can start to become familiar with that. Rose, you've had your hand up for a bit.
Yeah,
You're
thank you. I just wanted to suggest that in this virtual fundraiser, it might be very productive to have some of our wonderful musicians, you know, and I've noticed BA, I don't know why I want to rename him to BJ, but BA and Bruce Henry did a splendid job, and somebody else had a really good thing with the earphones and all that. And that really sounded good. If you incorporated that in the fundraising, I think we could do a really spectacular virtual fundraiser. That's it.
Any other comments or questions?
Excellent idea.
On the finances?
I just have
Tina?
a comment about just the kind of an easy thing for folks to think about that you can also do. Thank you, Chet and Suzanne for suggesting, just going ahead and donating what you would normally have for the fundraisers. But other things you can do, especially if you have a birthday coming up and you're on Facebook, you can do your own Facebook fundraiser for Unity North Shore. I've seen that increasingly with a lot of ministers and congregants that are raising money on Facebook. Instead of a birthday gift, you're asking people to donate to the place where, you know, you get your spiritually fed and that you love. And so that's one easy way. Even if it's not your birthday, you can still do a fundraiser at any time. So if anyone has any interest, please see, and I'm happy to kind of work with you and set that up, help you set that up so you can do that. And I've seen people do really, really well because Facebook makes it very easy to do this. So just a thought for folks.
They also take a percentage.
Yeah, well.
Oh.
I also have a suggestion.
Anybody else?
I have a suggestion.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have a suggestion. Since I assume everybody shops at home now, and so you can also sign up onto Amazon Smile to have proceeds of what you purchase to designate Unity as the recipient of whatever you buy. So that is, if every one of us would do something, I have signed up for that. So every time I buy, then I give something to Unity. So just a thought.
That's an excellent point, Suzanne, and I think we'll work to get that out to the masses.
Especially since we're all shopping right now on Amazon a lot. Okay, if that's it for questions on this topic, let's move on to agenda item number 2, which is the Right and Perfect Home. And basically, that's been on hold since COVID. So for 3 or 4 months, we really have not dealt with it. And now we are just beginning to look at that again. And we had a couple of meetings on Zoom, and Mark Montana is here. He's going to speak on to update us. He's from Cresa, the group that we've hired to help us with our options. So Mark, are you here?
Yes, yes I am. Can you hear?
Yeah, hi Mark.
Okay, great. Thanks, June. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update to the congregation that's participating in this Zoom meeting. Yes, we did put it on hold for a period of the 3 or 4 months that June mentioned. And the rationale behind putting it on hold was we didn't want any feedback coming back from market alternatives for the site, excuse me, based on any kind of drama or fear that COVID-19 was creating. So we wanted the dust to settle, so to speak, in the real estate market, which it has. And the conclusion is, if there's anything that has remained strong out of the various sectors, is the multifamily housing market, especially in the suburbs, as people are looking to possibly get away from the central core of the city and be in a more safe environment from COVID-19. As you recall, our goal and objective is to determine what options that Unity on the North Shore has to maximize the value of its property. All we are doing right now are assessments. That assessments include what is the value of your property based on various different property types, number one. Number two, what is it going to be to remain at your facility and fix the problems that are in place with the physical condition of the property, while at the same time identifying what we in the industry call deferred maintenance costs into the near future or somewhat in the future based on the age of the property. So that's what we're doing. So that has recommenced. We've had general contractors off to the site, I think it was last week, and they're doing their analysis on what it's going to cost just to maintain the facility in its existing condition. We have started on the valuation process, which will take about 30 days to determine what the alternative uses can be. And the architectural committee, which was formed, will be meeting with Horn Architects in the very near future to incorporate some of the new findings or trends that may be created based on your future space needs, especially in light of how you are now expanding your mission and your ministry more away from the local people into the streaming services that are available online. So once we have all of that, we'll be able to determine all the various cost scenarios, and then hopefully, I say within the next 30 to 45 days, we'll be in a position to make recommendations to the board. We had, during this time when we started re-ramping up, we had a great Zoom meeting. And I guess instead of saying Zoom meeting, we should just all assume now that everything is a Zoom meeting.
Right.
But we met with both Alderman Tom Sefferden and the head of the economic development team, Paul, if I'm going to pronounce his last name right, Zalmezek. And it was an excellent call. The call exceeded, from the real estate side of things, our expectations. First of all, the team that was online from Unity did an absolutely phenomenal job expressing the vision of the church, where it is, where it wants to go, and how it wants to be incorporated within the community. The city, not only in the response to that, appeared to be very, very supportive of anything we wanted to do on site. As a matter of fact, the city supported, or the city indicated to us that several years ago that they were looking at different ways in which to improve, I'll just use traffic patterns, because I guess there's some pinch points up by your corner there because of being able to make turns. And it was their hope that they could create a new entryway or vision for Northwest Evanston. I got to tell you, I meet with city officials a lot in representing, you know, individuals and non-for-profits such as yourself. Evanston was extremely excited to hear about what the potential possibilities can be for the site and how they would try and support us in that effort to maintain and maximize value and to hopefully keep Unity in that specific location, which would be pretty cool. So we talked a lot about that. Now, there's no question that we're going to challenge the city on what their idea is of a perfect site and redevelopment versus what we may want to see. And there is the approval process with the city. But we heard, obviously, from a political perspective, the support of Alderman Sefferden, but what was most encouraging was the support and openness that Paul was providing us in a sense of thoughts and ideas. Obviously, he having the ear of the other councilmen that would have to vote on this, but also probably as a reflection of the fact, like every other community, they are suffering from a loss of sales tax and taxes to help run, you know, the village, in this case, the village of Evanston or the city of Evanston. So all that as well. So that really is the update. No decisions have been made. No recommendations have been made. Our findings are just starting, going through that process right now. But we're excited about the response that we did get from the city of Evanston in our initial discussion with them. Any questions?
I have a question. Terry Went. Hi, I'm an urban planner. And I think when you mentioned that we will challenge the city's vision, I presume this means in terms of density and zoning.
Yes.
The site is zoned for single family homes right now, like the units across the street to the north. Mm-hmm. Yet, and a bit on the west. course, we've got I would call, I guess, probably an architecturally award-winning development across Grosse Point Road, one of the David Hovey projects, Optima. I would anticipate if there were to be, if Unity were to sell that property, that would probably, would that be an aspirational density or a comparable project character that we would probably want to promote?
There's no question that to maximize value, that zoning change would be required to add density. The issue when I talk about challenge would be what their idea of density is and how much can we maximize value by creating maybe some additional density without necessarily impacting the atmosphere and the geographic surrounds of the community that we're a part of. So I always like to do that. They were very comfortable and saying, well, at least Paul was talking about, gee, we could go 3 stories and have this kind of density, so on and so forth. And that was right out of the gate. Okay, so he knows that the zoning change is necessary. And the way he was talking, again, Terry, I got to tell you, it's one of the first times someone in that position was as open as he was. So there appears to be a real desire on the part of the village officials to do something in that northwest corridor.
Good. I'd like to maybe talk with you offline about what you think the property value would be for a project of that kind of multifamily use versus a commercial use, like the CVS up the street, which I personally don't think is a suitable use. But on the other hand, if it could generate more income, I don't think Unity, I mean, it's not Unity's decision as to determine the future character of the land uses around that intersection.
Right, exactly. And that is going to be part of our look. We're going to be looking at alternative uses, not just the segment from a multifamily perspective. We'll be looking at it from, gee, is it good for a medical building? Because, you know, there's a hospital relatively close by.
Sure.
Retail is the play, so to speak. Retail adds a lot of different parking. And then what is going to be the appetite of the community and the alderman in his district? There appears to be a very, very strong need, and I'm going to use the word affordable housing, but I'm going to use it within the context of a need for housing that supports the workers and the people of the infrastructure for the city of Evanston. Supposedly there is a lack of that in the city that's cost effective for people. And we're not suggesting any kind of Section 8 here, but we're suggesting something that is done properly, done right. And, you know, it would help hopefully leave the impression that Unity was very much a part of it in that redevelopment, and how that's done and how that marketing piece is put together. You know, we'll determine that once we identify values, what the highest and best value can be for the property, and who those potential redevelopers can be. But yes, be more than happy to talk offline.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Mark, this is Chuck Stroni. You know, Reverend Kurt and the board, thank you for inviting me to that meeting with the alderman and the city planner. I echo what Mark said. It was a very, very positive discussion, and you know, opened my eyes to other possibilities for the use of our property. The one question I have, Mark, at what point would you start exploring, with following up on Terry's ideas, suggestions about approaching developers who might be interested? When does that happen?
My sense is we're going to be doing that very quietly with people. We'll have people signing non-disclosure agreements, and we'll share to a select couple what their views are on the site and what their thoughts are. That will help us determine the value of the property. That does not lock them in as the buyer, but it also just gives us a sense and a proof statement of what we're doing and what our thought process and our approach.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, this is Bruce Hart.
Hey, Bruce.
Okay, my concern is I live right next door to Unity Church, to 3 buildings, and how is it going to affect me? Because I live here. I don't want some commercial stuff to come in there to rezone it and screw up my property.
You know, Bruce, until we get our conclusions and what it is, what the options are, we present that to you and the congregation. I'm sure that's good.
I don't want some eminent domain to come in like they have in other places to take my property.
That wasn't the thought. The thought was we have maybe an acre and a half, acre 3/4, and we're looking at that as its own entity and its own unit, nothing else. We're not looking to all of a sudden go back to the village or whatever community or whoever has to approve it and say, oh, gee, we could go 3 times the size if we wipe out this specific area and do an eminent domain. That is not the intent.
And I don't want some Section 8 there either.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would not be happy.
Right.
Right. Well, I'm sure the residents around there will feel, you know, they will have the same considerations as you, Bruce, and we, you know, want to, you know, work with them, with the aldermen, to create something that'll work for everybody. And maybe we can still stay on the site. I mean, that's a possibility too. If we do a multifamily, we could possibly incorporate something where we would still be there and be part of that site. Any other questions or comments regarding this? Questions, more questions for Mark? Okay, great. All right, so the third item, agenda item, and we've really covered it in the beginning, is the Unity North Shore Oak Park collective collaboration. And, you know, this came out of, well, it's a couple of things. It's churches are losing membership. They're downsizing. They're going out of business. Donations are down. And it's interesting with COVID how we have a whole new way of doing church now, online and streaming. And we were certainly boosted into this era. Oak Park has been without a minister for 3 years. They had a minister for about 6 months last year who ended up leaving ministry. And at that point, Christina and the board and Reverend Kurt, we all kind of agreed to help them and support them. And Christina and Kurt started doing their services, particularly Christina. And at that point, you know, we came up with this idea of, or it was really Christina's idea of maybe we could collaborate, possibly share services in the area of, you know, in other words, what are the best practices? Admin, marketing, social media, that we could possibly hire a social media person with some of the monies we would receive from Oak Park for consulting. So I think that we'd love to collaborate and create synergy with them. And it's really going to be, it's up to both of us, and particularly them, because it would be a change for them. And we hope to have an answer by the end of August if we're going to move forward with this. Any more questions or comments?
Hey, June, if I may, this is obviously not in my world and what you're trying to do, but COVID-19 on the corporate side of business, they are looking at a lot of those different options. Revenue is down across the board pretty much for any company in any industry, unless you're a grocery store, for goodness sakes, or you know, making Clorox, you know, clean wipe products, so to speak. But we, Cresa, as a company, we're looking at consolidating some of our marketing efforts. Instead of every office having their own marketing team, consolidating that a little bit. It may take an extra day to get something, but then it's smarter on us that we have to prepare for it. So, you know, the things that you're suggesting, it isn't just exclusive to churches in and around the country. You're seeing corporate America do the same kind of thing. So, you know, if you're wondering if you're unique or not, you are not. So apply those business principles, because it does work, or hopefully it should. And it makes it'll make everybody at the end of the day a lot stronger coming out of it.
Thanks for sharing that, Mark.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just will note, you know, the important thing too. I thank you, Mark, for that, because I think that is absolutely spot on in terms of, you know, is a good business principle. Yes, it is. But, you know, more importantly for us, as you all know as well, is a good spiritual principle, and absolutely as well. So it's a wonderful thing that both those two things align, because for us, it really comes down to not just doing this thing that is efficient and effective, but also doing ministry in new ways that really honors spiritual principle. And those are the idea of oneness and collectivity and working together and sharing resources, and, you know, really being able to not embody a spirit of competition, but a spirit of cooperation. And so for us, that's really, really the driving force to create a new era of doing church that is really powerful and really about living into spirit. So I want to make sure that we definitely understand that as well.
Any more comments or questions? I have to say one thing. I am so grateful for the technology team that puts on this service every Sunday. And it's the same people that are here every Sunday for the last 3 months doing this. And I really, really appreciate you guys. So, gee, we did good. It's like,
can I ask a question? This is Olga.
Sure.
So can we have just a very, like a 3-sentence summary of everything we've heard? I would love that, because we had talked about 3 different things, and it's just like a picture. Okay, now we've heard all this. Is there a possibility of somebody doing that? No? Okay.
No,
I can do it. No, I'll do it. The 3 items that are the hotcakes for us are, as a board and the ministers, are number 1, our financial picture and fundraising.
Okay.
And that's probably, well, that's very much at the top of our list.
Okay.
Because the PPP grant that we got that paid for salaries for 2 months is now done.
Okay.
Number 2 is the Right and Perfect Home. And there's really, at this point, we had a meeting. Mark and his group are starting to take steps now in looking at our building, assessing it. We met with the aldermen, and it's just, that's in process again. I guess it's in play.
Okay.
About that. And then thirdly is, which is timely, is the Unity North Shore Oak Park Collaborative.
Okay.
And we'd love that to happen as long as it's beneficial to both of us.
Okay.
And that decision will really be in Oak Park's hands, whether they want to, because with Christina, they also get us.
Okay.
And does that?
Yes.
Does that
So
help?
here's my question, because at the top of everything is the financial issue. It embraces everything that you've talked about. So For example, if Oak Park decides not to go ahead with this collaborative, then are we going to continue to pay Christina? Number two, if doing something with our property appears to be a way of gaining more funds, if we go in a certain direction, to offset having to be, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, to offset having to crunch all the time, you know, that there may be more funds available if we do something lucrative with our property. Because I'm thinking that all churches are having financial issues, and we are having the same thing, and we're you know, scrimping to pay salaries and so on. And because of the COVID-19, there's a possibility that we may not be getting as much income. So I was just trying to put it all in kind of that kind of a perspective as to, okay, we're hoping that this collaborative works. You know, we don't know if it does, but it may not. We still have to pay salaries. We still have to pay other bills and so on. We still have to keep going. So I'm wondering if we have gone to that point of the bigger picture, what happens if all of these things that we're banking on don't happen?
So Olga, that's great. And if we go back to the list that I presented initially with the finances, we can do fundraising.
Right.
We can cut staff. We can borrow against our credit line, and we can work to convince Oak Park that this collective is the right thing, right? So, so with what you said, taking the collective, let's say it doesn't happen. That's not the path that Unity Oak Park wants to go down. Then we have those other three, and I guess as a church community, we have a decision to make. To Chet's point earlier, many of us participate in the gala every single year and give money, right? So are you going to, and are you in a position to give that same amount of money this year without us doing any type of fundraiser? And will you do that? Last year we covered all of our expenses. Now we still are losing rental income, but if we raise the same amount because of the PPP loan, if we get $25,000 in fundraising, we're good, which typically we bring in that with the gala. But if that's not where everyone's at right now, then yes, we have to look at cutting staff. Okay. But I really think that's a community decision.
Olga, I would like to add that I don't see Right and Perfect Home as under that same umbrella. We do not want to make property decisions and investments thinking we're going to cover operating expenses.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
And to be clear, we raised money for Right and Perfect Home last year that's designated for this project. So all the work that Cresa is doing, that money to pay them is set aside, untouched. And in fact, we can only touch it for this project because people donated that money specifically for this project. So that has no impact on our finances from that perspective.
To iterate what Kurt just said is we want to be sustainable within our own community. However, we put those pieces together, and we do juggle them from year to year, but we want to be sustainable financially and spiritually. So I personally do not see whatever happens with the property. I don't see that as like a pot that we dip into to support us.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah. And I want to add that will take us a year, and I don't know if Mark's still on the line, but yeah, he is. That'll take us a year to 2 years to if we're going to sell the property, find the right person to sell to, and find new property for ourselves. And so it really isn't a good thing for us to bank on.
Okay. That's really clear. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I
would-
have a question
another
about, oh,
comment.
sorry.
This is Chet. The thing that I really I took away from the meeting with the city the city planner and the alderman was that the opportunity for us to stay in the same location in some type of creative development, where be it a housing development, but we would have, say, the first floor. That's my view, but that we would have that opportunity. We have a spiritual connection to the location where we're at. I think that, I speak for Mickey and myself, but I think maybe others feel that way too. We wouldn't have the physical building any longer. We would bless it and let it go. But I think that's the appeal I have about this creative idea that was ideas that were discussed, and Carrie mentioned it earlier. And so I just want to add that.
Can I say something? Or
Sure.
I just wondered, going back to the fundraising, I thought Rose's idea of having Bruce Henry and maybe someone else do a virtual fundraiser would be a really good idea, you know, rather than just asking people to give what they normally give. I know I have friends who are not in Unity, but man, I think they'd pay to hear Bruce Henry. They've been to the Jazz in July concerts before.
This is Sharon. I want to follow up on what Carol said. Ravinia has been doing a really great job on that as a fundraiser, as well as like a concert with some of their performers that cannot now perform with public. And they've been doing a whole series of fundraisers. So we might want to look at Ravinia and what they're doing as a model.
So here's what's going to make that successful is if we've got people who are willing to step up and learn some of that video equipment, that live stream. We don't have the person power right now to be able to drive that. So it really needs folks who are interested in coordinating. So if you're excited about that, then let us know, raise your hand. I know Carol, in the past, you and Rose Johnson have done an excellent job of promoting the jazz concert and to others, and so have others. But it really, we would need to reach an audience way bigger than the 45 people that we have on our call right now. And it's going to be us that is the drivers of the energy that creates.
Well, there's always Facebook. You know, I have friends, a lot of friends. Maybe if we all did that, you know.
Yep. Well, like Christina said, yeah, use Facebook now to do fundraisers, individual ones. But the more willing we are to sort of leverage our Facebook lists, the more likely is that we would be able to pull that off successfully.
I saw a really good, I'm kind of down on Facebook right now. If any of my friends have noticed, I haven't been on there for the month of July. I went on briefly yesterday, but I'm still thinking about just the person or non-person that Mark Zuckerberg is. And for that reason, I stay away as much as possible. Also, when you're fundraising through Facebook, you have to give them a percentage of, and it's a pretty significant percentage.
Well, I wasn't talking about fundraising through them. I was just talking about everyone just speaking about and praising the concert. I mean,
but YouTube does it as well. YouTube does it.
There.
We saw a beautiful concert last weekend. I sent somebody, Reverend Kurt, I think I sent you a link. But they did opera, was it? Yeah, it was opera. And it was very, very good. So we can check out a lot of things. I am willing to help with the virtual stuff if I have a teacher, because I don't know that much, but I need somebody to show me what to do on one or two things, and I might be able to join that team.
Bert, I have a question. These live stream positions that we're looking at, are they all in person? Or can some of them be done remotely?
I don't know. I think yes, they would all, if we were hosting a concert, we would be using our live stream equipment. So we would need people to run the cameras, to manage the audio, and to do the mix. Probably a minimum of 4 people, preferably 5. That happens on site. And then it goes to a special little black box that actually uploads it to wherever we say. It can upload it to Facebook and YouTube and several others all at the same time. But we generate the feed, the 4 or 5 people sitting on our site together. I mean, we can safe distance, we can wear masks, we can do that kind of piece. And then the musicians would, I don't know if we did it outside or if we did it. Anyway, but that's all logistics. The trick is we really need folks who can have a curiosity about really being able to learn that equipment. And then anyone else, like Carol was describing, just promote it for us on your social media feeds, and we drive them back to buy the tickets on the website or to register on the website. That's how I would imagine that would work. And that's like, we need to leverage our community as sort of our marketing and our sales team so that we sell as many tickets as we possibly can.
I have another fundraising idea. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I live near the Pickwick Theater in Park Ridge. It's this really cool old vintage theater. And people are paying to get like Happy Birthday Mark on the marquee of the theater. And I thought, oh, we have a marquee right on the corner of Central and Green Bay there. So perhaps people would pay to, you know, wish somebody a happy wedding or happy birthday. Probably people in Evanston, probably people in the neighborhood, but it's an idea. And we wouldn't have to pay Facebook a percentage. It would be, all the income would be ours. I think it's a matter of marketing it. It's deciding how to market that.
Thanks, Dan.
Is that on? Am I on?
You're on.
I can't see my picture. I don't know where I went.
We can see you.
Is that something that you would have bandwidth to be able to kind of manage and orchestrate?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, yeah.
I could think about how to market it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would be an easy one to implement, I would think, if we have someone who can sort of, you know, let us know when the sign needs to be changed and collect the revenues and that kind of thing. Someone to kind of actually administrate it.
Who changes the letters on the sign? Is that Carl?
Yes, we'd have to get Carl's buy-in for sure. Is he still on? Or
all right, we'll nominate him. He's gone.
Well, and anybody, there's a key to the building and a key to the case that opens it up. So that could be, we could find people to do that. That could be part of what the team does.
I was thinking we might want to make it more colorful if we're going to do that. Make it stand out more somehow.
With balloons, like an emoji or something?
That, or I was just thinking lettering, but that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, so if you have other ideas, and especially if you're willing to lead the team that pulls it together, please get in touch with me or Reverend Christina. Is that okay? Can I put your name out as a resource, or Kate? And we will do what we can to make sure that we get support to help you be successful at it. Any other looming questions? We covered a lot, I know.
Okay.
Okay, let's pray out.
Let's pray out, Christina.
Yeah, there we go. Well, let's just take a deep breath and just release that and just be in that space of gratitude for this amazing community that we have, for all the magnificent divine ideas that are just floating around, that are just enveloping us right here and right now, that are manifesting and moving forward ahead of us, blazing the trail to be able for each and every one of us as individuals and as a collective community to live into our spirit. And so we know and affirm that there are many questions and that there are many opportunities and that there are many not knowings right now, but we know that we have deep faith, and we know that we believe in this community, and we know that we believe and love each other. And so we see that as a guiding force that leads us into our new, fabulous, amazing tomorrow full of abundance and prosperity. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Really
Thank
pleased.
you, everybody.
There's lots going on, and it's nice that we're sort of all on the same page. Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video. If Unity's message of positive spiritual living resonates with you, I hope you'll subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on other lessons as we post them. Also, if you're able to support us financially in the work that we do in the world, please check below for contact information. You can visit our website, find more about what programming we offer, as well as how to give. Blessings.